Hey everybody, I picked up a set of GS or LS400 calipers for my GS300, a pretty popular upgrade for the front. They're 4 piston calipers, which is a nice upgrade over the 2 piston that comes stock on the second gen GS300s. I picked these up from a salvage yard, and I don't just want to slap them on. I want to go ahead and rebuild them because the cars, it's not only a matter of pride, but the car makes a good bit more power than it used to, and it is nice to be able to have confidence when you go over the brakes. Sometimes you're going a little bit faster than you recognize, and you don't have quite as much space as you would have wished with the stock brakes. So here we are. Making this video because I didn't find a lot of help on kind of tearing these down and rebuilding them. And I'll start off by saying I am not an expert. These are actually the first brake calipers I've ever rebuilt, having spent 20 plus years working around it, either with remanufactured, new, or just doing simple brake pad and or rotor replacements. But I thought this might be a learning opportunity for some of you, as it is for me, and so I figured I'd document as I go along. So without further ado, here we go. For what it's worth, this is the right side, which is the passenger side here in the US. I've already kind of gotten a head start on the driver's side, so hopefully this goes a little bit smoother, and otherwise it's pretty much the same. This has a lead on it that I suppose on the LS series cars would indicate a low pad condition. Not going to need that for our needs with the GS, but I suppose those of you that are interested in rebuilding your LS calipers, that might be noteworthy. Don't know that that's going to be relevant to what we're doing here, but thought I'd call out the difference between the passenger side and the driver's side. Driver's side did not have that lead. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so first thing we'll do is pull the retaining pin for the pad. I believe we call them guide pins, and it kind of retains the cable as well. Be cleaning all of this up later, and 20 years of wear, corrosion, etc. I do not want to necessarily introduce that to the equation. So while it would be fine to simply reuse these parts as they are for the most part, I think it's still a good idea to go ahead and at a minimum knock the corrosion off of these pieces, these pins. The smoother they are, as new, the better the brakes will wear, as the pads can move very smoothly down the distance of the pin. There, it's pretty straightforward. Pads come out. As I said, these pads have quite a bit of material left. It's a shame that I'm not going to need them, or I should say use them. I will be acquiring new pads, and I don't know yet how to do away with this lead, but I'm going to see if I can look behind the curtain here. Oh, okay. Well, it looks like the bleeder there. Well, I don't know. I don't necessarily know how that would behave, but perhaps there's some sort of resistance material there. I'll not speculate so that you all don't think even less of me than you do already. I'll just say, I don't know. But that was pretty simple and straightforward. I did notice on the other caliper, this bolt was pretty well corroded, this bleeder valve. So I'm soaking it in some PB Blaster. All right, so here we are, the 4 pistons. Now, I am going to cheat. If you don't have air, I've seen a few different approaches. You can look online to see how people do that, just generically. However, I have air. I'm going to take advantage of that, and here's what I've learned from the first one. The complication, when I've looked online videos with 1 or 2 calipers, you just put the air to it and out pops the caliper. When you have 4 calipers, 2 facing each other, it's not as straightforward, I didn't find. So first off, I'm going to remove the brake line bolt and kind of, I don't know what you'd call this component, but essentially the brake line would fit in between these 2 kind of washer-like pieces that are tethered together. Just a moment. All right, so here we are. Now what I've learned is the best solution I have so far is using these, I guess it'd be 1x2s, perhaps, and kind of overlapping them in such a way so as to, I'm going to rotate this around kind of toward my air, so as to, you know what, first, before I do that, let me just use a 2x4, because this will, yes, from this direction, let's see if I can get that visible. This will allow pistons on both sides to move. So there's a good bit of gap there, but it won't allow them to, it will not allow them to pop out of their socket, which is the issue you're trying to avoid. In addition, you don't want them colliding for sure, but you don't want them popping out of their socket. Now, I didn't say it before, but highly recommend eyewear at a minimum here to prevent any surprises. So here we go, going into the access hole that was the brake line hole, and my connection here is a little bit leaky, but let's see how it does. See if I can get an angle so you can see this. And so with that, we got a puff of brake fluid. Try to press a little bit harder here. Okay, see a little bit of movement. Yep. It's not a surprise on this side where the air is going in is moving. I didn't get any movement out of the other pistons yet. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take, I believe, a brake pad, and I'm going to put it back in here, and I'm going to take a C-clamp, and I'm going to, I need to widen this out a bit. I'm going to put the C-clamp on the side of the brake pad, on the back side of the brake pad with the brake material facing the pistons, and I'm going to pull, more or less just keep those at bay. What I'm trying to do is get the other pistons to move. So here we go. I'm holding these, and I want these others to move. Now, I know that it's not ideal because I'm going to be blocking the camera, but what I would recommend, or what I'm not recommending necessarily, but what I'm using is these pieces of cardboard. And the reason I'm using these is to prevent the pistons from slamming hard into the back of that brake pad. So put those in place, and if they pop out, they won't pop out with enough force to damage the pistons. So here we go. Put a little air to this. All right, so one popped out there. The other one has not moved yet. So we've got 3 pistons that have shown movement so far. Pull this cardboard out of your way, kind of reveal what occurred. So you can see one piston has dislodged itself, or has lodged itself between my little the brake pad that was left in here and the and the housing. So there it is. It's out. 1 down, 3 to go. Right. Well, it's not that easy because now there's a gaping hole, void where this once was. So any air that comes in to this caliper escapes through that hole, thereby rendering your air solution somewhat diminished, to say the least. In my case, since I don't have enough air to kind of overcome that size of a hole, then it completely kind of derails my my efforts. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit, put a little WD-40 on it just to kind of keep it loosened up, and I'm going to put it back where it came from for the purposes of not only this video. By the way, seal clearly is not going to be an issue. A lot of people take those off the front side. I haven't seen that be necessary in this example. 20 years old, no telling how many miles were on the car. The good news is the pistons, the last caliper I took apart, all 4 pistons looked really healthy. There wasn't any pitting or corrosion on the walls of on the outer walls of the pistons or anything like that. So let's see if I can get this started back in there. So that's a good thing. If there were, I would be suspicious that a new set of pistons or a fresh set of pistons would be what was called for in that case. Okay, there we go. So I've got this piston reseated. Press in just a little bit more. Okay. Now I've got a situation where I've got 3 that are moving. We've got 1 that's not moved. So a little bit more of the same in a way. I think what I want to do is I'm going to see if this will work. I'm going to put the brake pad back in here. I'm going to take, I wish I had 2, but I don't have only one 3-inch clamp, but I have this 5-inch, 6-inch clamp. It'll work. Not the best tool for the job, but it'll do it. Widen out the jaw a little bit. But I'm gonna hold the pad with this C-clamp. Again, this pad is holding the 2 pistons that are closest to your supply line. So it's not surprising that those are the most that they're moving the easiest. clamps themselves. So see if we can get some movement. All right. Survey says looks like nada to me so far. Maybe a stuck piston, so this may be a more involved situation than I had on the last. All right, I'm going to turn up the pressure here. It may kick on the compressor. All right, that's about 100 psi. Just a hair more nervous than I was before. Let's see what happens now. Okay, that's good. It moved. And still get a little puff of brake fluid out of the feed hole when I pull the gun back. So again, really recommend you have some eye protection here. All right, so positive news. I'll get this mess out of the way and reveal to you progress. All right, that brake pad out. There we go. So this was the guy that wasn't moving. My finger is so clearly in moving forward. So this is good. This is a good kind of place to be in. So I think at this point, let me move this 2x6 out of the way. We'll put this back down here. So this is a good point to be at. Put the 2x4 back in here and reconnect the air and kind of get everything synced back up. Okay. Yes, I am feeling better about this now. So those pistons are essentially in equal kind of spacing as far as their outward protrusion out of their respective cavities. Now, there's not, in my honest opinion, a great way to go from here. A little more work. So since this guy was the most cantankerous of the bunch, I'm going to kind of let it go first, if you will. And I'm going to assume these will be the easiest to get out. So I'm going to focus on the one that was most, again, kind of the most stuck of the bunch. So back with the pad here. And let me grab a trusty oversized clamp. Here's where we are. So I've got the two pistons on the kind of feed side, line feed side, air feed side, blocked off with this large clamp with brake pad. You know, it's holding the back of the brake pad, which is holding the pistons back, and then 1 3-inch right here is holding the other piston on the opposite side, leaving one piston somewhat free to roam about the cabin or the caliper. So here goes the air. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so that sound is the sound of air escaping out from behind the piston, which is indicative that it moved quite a bit. Not quite enough to pop loose, which is actually not a bad thing. I think I can get this by hand at this point, meaning I could get the caliper out. here we are. So this is the piston we were pushing on. See if I can get it out. There it is. And piston number 1 is out. Again, looks pretty good on the back side. Could be wiped off. Front side's not as attractive. It's seen a lot more of the world in kind of full exposure mode, but the rest of the piston is in good shape. So this is where we are, and kind of here's roughly what I believe I'm going to have to do. The air is no longer a useful tool. So what people I've seen do is they stick screwdrivers or whatnot in this little valley here, and they use a hammer, what have you, to drive it out. I'm going to attempt, this worked last time pretty well, I'm going to attempt to do the same thing but use a piece of wood. Don't like the idea, if I can avoid it, of metal on parts that I'm going to reuse. Okay, that's progress. There we go. Number 2. Again, good shape all around. Stack them up there, and then on to our final 2 pistons. Grab a screwdriver. Yeah. Don't be like me. Don't be so careless with your screwdriver. I hit that side of that piston a little too hard. Just for a visual, there's the back side of the seal. And I believe there are a few different parts, and I've got a rebuild kit coming, so I'll be able to fully appreciate kind of what that is later. There we are, and our final of our 4 pistons is out. All right. Yeah, again, it looks really clean. Might as well go ahead and rip this seal off, just to kind of show you a visual of what they look like. This doesn't have the metal ring in it. I see it still there on the caliper itself, but overall, again, it's a nice shape for the years of service that it has provided. No marring, no corrosion, etc. on the back or the side of the piston. Right here on the contact patch where there's no seal, there is a little bit of corrosion, but with a wire wheel, I imagine I can clean that up. So, yeah, there we have it. That's the disassembly of an LS400. Don't hold me to this. I'll just say late 90s. I think 2000 was the breaking point. on that. As far as the year model that would cover, I think 95 or 96 is a start. 4-piston front Sumitomo calipers. Do a quick look at the caliper itself. So you can see that there's a stainless ring. I assume it's stainless, but a metal ring component still on one of those holes, not on the other. That came out with the caliper on that side, and this is what you end up with after you're done. So again, not too complicated, but it took me probably twice as long to get the first set done due to the challenges with, a caliper popping out and then, the rest of them being really stuck. I think the key is to get them all moving. And once they're moving, you've got a pretty good sense that you'll be able to get them out, without too much trouble, prying them along the edge using whatever methods you want. Like I said, I've seen some people use screwdrivers. I just, I hesitate to do that, but as a last resort, would rather use something that's a little softer, that will give to prevent any marring or damage, even though it may not be material, as we're talking about the lip that is external facing to the cavity. And as far as I know, and I may be learning as I go, but as far as I know, that's not an area that's sensitive as far as the seal, allowing fluid to escape. So as the compressor is cutting me off, we'll go ahead